Today I'm giving away 3 of my all-time favorite custom skirt colors that I've used to win a lot of money. And I've always kept these under wraps, and I'm going to share them with you. So if you guys feel like making some skirts, I highly recommend making some of these colors. I'll show you 3. I've got one that I call the Big Chip, which is this bait I just plucked off my memory board hanging on the back of the wall. I used this bait along with my team partner Jason Correo to win the Cabela's North American Bass Circuit Championship a few years ago on the Chippewa flowage. We came up with that color together and found that it definitely worked better than anything else that we were using at the time. And I've since used that color pretty much all over the country and caught a ton of fish. So I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you my #1 favorite swim jig color that I call Goldilocks. And then I've got one more color called Bad Bluegill. They're all very easy to make and they all work fantastically. So the first color I'm going to show you, well, let's step back here and kind of show you how to make a skirt in the first place. You can go to Tackle Warehouse or any lure making website right now and get, you know, the tools that you need. The first is just a skirt making tool. You can buy them for a couple of bucks. It's got a little cone point on one side that you insert. You take your, you can buy these skirt bands by like, it's like 100 for a couple of bucks. So you take your skirt collar, you slide it up over the nose, and you just pull it down. And you slide it up over the cylinder, and then you take your cone off. And at that point, the only other part of the tool is this little hook. And that hook goes through the tube onto this side, and then you hook the skirt material, pull it back through, and then pull the band down. And that's how you put your rubber band on your skirts. So, you know, that's all you need. You need your bands, which you can get in pretty much every color imaginable, and your skirt making tool. And then you need your skirt material, which you can get from, again, any tackle craft website, Tackle Warehouse, Skirts Unlimited. I mean, there's really a lot of different sources. And the one thing I want to stress is don't limit yourself on the material that you use to just straightforward skirt material. You know, there's all different types of stuff. I mean, what I recommend doing is going and looking in a fly tying section, and you'll find all kinds of crazy materials that you can include, different flashaboos, color flash, like tinsel type colors. There are different rubber materials. This is round rubber. You really can use anything imaginable. I mean, I've got an uncle that ties jigs out of his dog's hair. After he's done brushing the dog, he gets a wad of hair and he can make jigs out of it. So you really can make it out of anything. But you know, I recommend just getting a handful of different colors that you really like, playing around with it and finding out what combinations work the best for you. The other thing to keep in mind is the amount of material that you put into the skirt will drastically increase or decrease the rate of speed of fall for that bait. So you just want to keep that in mind. Most jigs, I'll say, are in that 40 strand range. You know, it varies a little bit, but you know, that's roughly what you're at. I mean, that's basically 2 tabs of material. These are both, I believe they're 22 strands. So if you put two strands together, after you put the band in the middle, you know, that's basically 1 jig's worth of material. You cut the ends off. So, you know, it's up to you. I mean, some people like to use a lot more material. That's one of the great things about making your own baits, is you get to play around with the materials and find out what works best for you. So the first bait I think I'm going to show you is what I call the Big Chip. This one is all beaten up. It's really a simple color combination. You're talking about one tab. This is an electric blue with a little bit of silver flash in it. One tab of black. This also has some silver flash in it, a very small silver flash. So those two, and then, so those are 2 full tabs, and then just 2 strands of a chartreuse, just as an accent color. And this seems to be the key. It really kind of draws those extra strikes, and I think triggers fish into biting when that bait is falling past them. So what we'll do, I've got the rubber band on there. I'm going to actually switch that quick because that's a white one and I don't want the white. I try to match my colors as best as I can. So in this case, I'm putting on, this is actually a green pumpkin. So I'll put my hook through the tube till it hooks out the other side, and then you'll just hook the material, and there's no right or wrong places to where to do it. All you're trying to do is grab the material so that you can pull it into the tube. Now you can try to layer it somewhat to get certain colors. If you want one color on the top, one color on the bottom, you can do that a little bit. But really in this case, for this bait, it's just a matter of hooking the 3 colors on, pull your hook up till it's about halfway in, and then you slide your band down over it, pull it back out, take your hook off, and now you've got your skirt. And all you have to do then is cut off the 2 ends. You can manipulate it, like I said, a little bit to get the colors around, but that's really it. This is like my all-time favorite skirt color for pitching. Really, for the best watercolor that I think it works in is tannic colored, so that rust colored water. It works great up here in the North Woods area, but I really think having that little bit of chartreuse, I mean, it's literally just 2 strands, but it makes the bait pop. And for whatever reason, I find that this triggers the fish a lot better than just straight black and blue. And I've found this to work great in Florida. I actually had a day on Lake Toho where I had a decent limit with 5 minutes to go, and I pitched up a 7.5 pounder on this out of a hyacinth mat. So I just threw it here on a collared bullet weight for you, punch rig, and that's what I call the big chip. That's a great color, highly recommend, really easy to make. So that's the first one. So the second one that I'm going to do is what I call Goldilocks, and it's one of the first swim jig colors that I ever made. It's specifically designed for smallmouth fishing, and I have found that it works great on spotted bass and largemouth as well, but it is a dominant color for smallmouth, especially again if you've got some watercolor. I find that on rivers it's kind of the go-to bait for me, but in general it's just another bait that triggers those smallmouth into eating. And it's pretty simple. It's a chartreuse tab and a full white tab, and those are the components. And I think you guys know by now that for me, if I'm fishing spotted bass or smallmouth, like white and chartreuse is just kind of the hands down best thing that you can throw. But in this case, what I'm adding to this is some gold color flash. It's basically gold, like tinsel that you'd put like on a Christmas tree or garland. But I'm going to add some of that, and that little bit of flash really seems to help. It's a different material, and it just gives more of that bait fish kind of flash to it. So again, in this case, I'm going to use a white collar. take my hook out, take the white collar, slide it right up the cone until it's onto the tube. Take your cone out, and then you're just going to hook your white and chartreuse tab onto your hook like that. And in this case, so I've got some of the gold color flash already, and it's a tough material to work with, but I'm just going to hook it around the center roughly. So I've got it like that, and I'm going to pull the whole thing up in, and at that point it's going to pull the gold color flash up, and I've got it roughly halfway up. I'll drop the skirt collar on and pull it back out. So I've got a loop of color flash here, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut that in half just to separate those. There's one more. Alright, so I'll finish it off and I'll clean it up for you, but I'll cut the two tabs off again. You know, one other thing you can do with these tabs that I don't think a lot of people do is you don't have to cut the tab off right at the end and have the full skirt. If you wanted to shorten it up and have one color that's longer, you would cut it right, you know, at the top, right where the tab is all connected. And then if you wanted just to have a shorter, say, interior color, you cut the chartreuse a little bit shorter and you'd get a shorter strand, so you have the one color will lay longer in the water, and you'll kind of get your tails. And the gold, the color flash in this case will be, it stands up like this, but in the water it'll fold over. So I'll slide it up on a jig so you can see it. And this is just an old dirty jig, swim jig head that I had where I used the bait and the skirt fell off. So this is what I call Goldilocks, and this is probably my all-time favorite swim jig color. I have caught more fish on this than any other bait, any other swim jig bait. I don't know why that gold color works. I have experimented with silver, I've experimented with like blues and just different color tinsel, or what they call a color flash, and the gold just seems to be the best. It shows up really good in the water and it just triggers a ton of fish. Again, it's a material that fish don't see normally. I mean, I don't know of any other swim jigs on the market. I'm sure I'm wrong when I say this, but I don't know of any offhand where you can buy them in the store like that. So the only way that I've ever found it, at least, is to build it myself. But this color combination is killer. And again, you know, that lays down in the water. I think it flares pretty good too when you stop it. Those strands will pop up a little bit more than normal skirt material. But you definitely want to give this a try. If you're fishing spotted bass or smallmouth, especially river fish, that's a killer bait. So that's two of them. The last one is what I call bad bluegill. And this is just a really good jig color. It's a really good swim jig color as well. It's just a good all-around color. I catch a ton of fish on this. So I'm gonna get my skirt collar, put on my tool, and in this case, so what bad bluegill is it's one tab of green pumpkin. This is kind of a camo colored green pumpkin, so it's got a little black in it as well. You can see that. This color, which is it's like a silver flash purple. It's a very metallic looking purple. Different sides you look at it, it'll look black. It's almost got like a purple sheen to it, like a nail polish would. It's one of my favorite colors. It's kind of like a blackberry color. I mean, it's just a great color all around. And then for some accent colors, what I'll do is I'll take, so these are full tabs, and then this is just going to be a half tab of, that's just like a magic cross swirl. It's kind of got that silverish green pumpkin sheen to it. It'll be a half tab of that. And then similar to the big chip, it's just 2 strands of chartreuse. And those will go together. So I've got my green pumpkin collar on. I'm going to hook up all my tabs. Pull those through. All right, we pull them through so that they're about halfway. Put the collar down, pull it back through, and we will cut our ends off. So this is what I call bad bluegill. It's a really unique color. It's a great dark water color. Also works well though in clear water. I think that's what that green pumpkin, it's got a natural look to it. I'll put it on a weight just so we can see it better. If I can get it on there. These colors on these punch rigs or the collars on the punch rigs can be difficult to slide it up and over. We'll try the other side. There we go. Straighten her up a little bit. I like to move the chartreuse around just to not have them super bunched up. All right, so that's what I call bad bluegill. It's just got a really natural look to it. It's got a dark, like male bluegill look to it. I know on the Mississippi River and the Wisconsin River around where I live, the bluegills have a real dark color to them, and they have a real defined dark purple hue. It's not like it's only a purple hue like when the sun hits them, and that's kind of what this purple shimmy color has. It just seems to work great. Again, it's a color that I think is really unique, and hopefully if you go and try to build it, you'll find that it works for you. So these three skirt colors are just like my go-to colors pretty much all over the country, and I highly recommend it. You know, I also recommend just getting yourself a skirt making tool, buying a couple of different tabs of skirt material and some other fly tying materials that you can use to build your own skirts. I think it's a lot of fun. You've seen how easy it is. I mean, we just did it and we made 3 in a couple of minutes. So if I were sitting here just pounding them out, you can pound out 30 skirts in an hour, no problem. So I highly recommend doing it. It's a lot of fun, and it's something that allows you to present the fish with something that they don't see every day. So give them a try, and I think they'll put a few more fish in the boat for you.